Mdala. So I wanted to talk to you about the power of names. It's something that I deem to be very important. I've mentioned before that in my tradition, the name that you announce, the name that you come forth in this material world is very important because it is going to have some form of influence over you. But as I've also mentioned, it is not going to be determinative necessarily. You have some leeway in terms of how you interact with the energy and the vibration of your name. And you also have the power to change that vibration if you want to do that. So in this podcast, what I wanted to do was to talk a little bit more about what it means to understand the power and vibration of your name, and to also know who you were named after. It is a very, very important point because part of that vibration that is coming with you, especially if you were named after someone else, you need to research who was that person, what kind of character had that person, what kind of action this person for, and also based on whoever gave you the name, look at how what was the emotion towards the person whose name they gave you. It's very important because you're going to see that all of the emotion, the fact that they chose that name for you, that they wanted you to embody part of that person, some characteristic of that person, the love they had for that person may have an impact on you and your private vibration. And knowing that is going to be a great pointer if you want to change that vibration or if you want to enhance it to work with it. So that's one thing. So you have to know what is the name that you have, who gave it to you and why, and then who was the person who carried that name before you. In my tradition, there are names based on how the person behaved. The energy, it adds energy to the name that they're carrying. And if you are someone who's negative, who's hurting other people and stuff like that, your name may become banned in the tribe, in the village, in certain region, in certain kingdoms. Okay, that means no child in that space will be called that way, because I think it's a mean to cast that energy away from that particular space. And so you end up being isolated, meaning that when you return to the spirit world, you're basically going to be isolated from your own family, from your own legacy generation, if you like. So that's why it is important to understand that the action that you have in your behavior is going to impact your name. The expression in English, you say he made a name for himself. So the way he carried himself, the action that he took actually established who he was and how he was perceived by the community and by the world. And I think that phrase kind of embodied very well what I'm trying to translate there, that you have to make a name for yourself. You have to take in consideration who came before you, but then you have to make sure you take the proper action and have the proper character in order to build a legacy with that name, in order for other people to want to give that name, to want to recognize the characteristic, the beneficial characteristic or contribution that you've made. So it's just something really short and quick to think about because, if you are looking to change your name, again, I know many of you are still in that process of thinking about that. That's something you can take in consideration. How is that name going to serve you for what you want to accomplish? How are you going to make that name for yourself? Like I said, for example, there's many people called Ra or Mahat. How are you as the number 59 Mahat, how are you going to be bringing something new, something different, your own unique energy to that name, and what action you're going to put behind that to impregnate that name with your own energy and your own vibration. So it's just something else to think about as you are in this process. And I wanted to finish with pointing out something very funny. I love Michael Jackson. There's a lot of music from him that I find very interesting, that's very inspiring. So it's something very funny because I was sent a video which I had no idea what trap music was. But I got a clip from this person, Michael Trapson, Billie Jean and I Dab, and I just thought it was fantastic, and it's kind of like a great illustration from what I'm talking about when I'm talking about honoring the ancestors in the media and finding modern ways to honor the ancestors. And I kind of love the way that person puts that together, thinking about what if that ancestor had done this new type of music, what would he have brought to the table. And, I think what's original about him is that aside from just imitating Michael Jackson by wearing the similar clothes, giving the similar look, he's actually bringing part of his own vibration and energy to the plate by, going into a different genre of music and putting that Michael Jackson flavor that everyone can recognize. And I thought it was just a wonderful way. I really enjoyed that song. I enjoyed the video. And I just thought that it was a great original way of that individual to honor one of our ancestors. And I think that's an example that you can look at when you're thinking about what you're going to be bringing to that name. What energy you're going to be bringing, what is the uniqueness, what is the originality that you're bringing to the table. The time of just copying and repeating exactly the same things is over. This is a time for us to rise up, to invent, to innovate, and to be original, to be just who you are, and to bring on that creativity. So I hope this inspire you to think of things differently. I'll put a link to the video in the description box if you haven't seen it yet, and I hope you enjoy it. So have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye bye.